Good morning and happy Monday. Woo! It's going to be a great week of e-learning. Today we're just reviewing some stuff before we kind of wrap up our Unit 4. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is congruency statements. Now, this is something we've seen before. Just want to kind of once again review it. That way, if questions did arise on Friday on our quiz, we are going to get those questions answered and we're going to attempt our quiz again if we would like to. So it says, given the following triangles, we're going to write the 7 possible congruency statements that we could, write based off the information that we're given with these triangles to the left. So the first thing that I see that angle A here is 57 degrees, and so is angle E. Well, 57 degrees is equal to 57 degrees. When the measurements of a figure are equal, then I name those figures and say for them to be congruent. Okay? So going back to that congruency, definition of congruency that we use a lot in our proofs, we're just saying, okay, well, these degrees are equal, so I know the angles are congruent. And I'm going to do that with all of my angles that I know to be congruent. Oh, whoops. Angle C congruent to angle D. All right, next up. Since I know that my angles to be congruent, I can actually state that some of my side lengths are congruent. So the side AB is congruent to the side EF. I know that the side AC is congruent to the side ED. And then I also know that my side BC is congruent to my side FD. And then lastly, because we know all 3 of those things to be congruent and all 3 of the angles to be congruent, I know that my triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay? So, those are our congruency statements. What I really want us to recognize is how in the congruency statement of triangle ABC being congruent to triangle DEF, how the order of each of our letters in those congruency statements kind of align. Okay, so, unless I wrote this wrong. Oopsie. There we go. There we go. So, that was actually a good little mess up there because I need us to see how the congruent angles and the congruent sides are corresponding in the same order from one triangle to the next. So if we've got angle A congruent to angle E, well, A then should be the first letter while E is also the first letter. B is congruent to angle F, so since B is the second letter, F should be the second letter, and so on with C and D. Okay. AB should be congruent to FE. Okay. I'm sorry, EF. So that's why we have AB here, EF here. Okay, so just looking at the triangle congruency statements alone give us so much information about what pieces of those triangles are congruent. Okay? Next up, based off knowing certain pieces are congruent, we can now state different measurements Here, we can find the third angle always by adding our other two angles up and subtracting that from 180. This is our triangle sum theorem. So 35 plus 80 equals, I know that I can just subtract 115 from 180, and I get the measure of angle B to equal 65 degrees. Okay? And then these ones get a little trickier, okay? Because we have to think, okay, how can I write an equation with all of these? I'm going to take 57 plus 2x plus x, because all three of my angles added up, and I'm going to set that equal to 180. Okay? So this simplifies to 57 plus 3x equals 180. I solve for x now. I continue to solve for x, and I get that 123 divided by 3 is 41. Okay, so angle C is just the measure of angle C, which is just x, so that I know x to be 41 degrees. And then I know angle A is 2 times x, so I know that this is going to be 82 degrees. All right, and then last but not least, we're going to add all three of these things together, set it equal to 180. So we've got 2x plus x minus 5 plus x plus 5 equals 180 degrees. Okay, so that eventually turns into 2x plus x plus x. That's actually 3x. I'm sorry, 4x. I wrote 3x, I meant 4x. And then negative 5 plus 5, that cancels out. So we've got 4x equals 180. We're going to solve, and we get that x is equal to 45 degrees. Now, none of my angles are just x, so we got to do some math. To find angle A, I'm going to take 45 minus 5. Angle A is 40 degrees. To get angle B, I'm going to take 2 times 45 and get 90 degrees. And then for angle C, I'm going to take 45 plus 5 and get 50 degrees. All right, jump into the next video to talk more about triangle congruency.